Hello friends, it's Simone, your favorite neighborhood nerd. Today I want to join in to the pen preferences that were first shared by Lau of Kenshin Crafts, and I've seen them around. Quite a few people have shared their take on these 20 this or that questions. The one that I saw first that made me think that I would like to join in was Shauna of Serial and Nana, but since then I've seen at least 2 other people share theirs and I really enjoyed it. So let's see how it goes. While watching the other people share their this or that questions, I realized that I'm probably going to be, it doesn't matter, it depends, going to be answering a lot of these. And before I go into all of the preferences, or maybe I don't have any preferences, I just want to share real quick what I used to set up this page. Yeah, I actually prepared for this. I used this Benu Pixie from the Magenta Madness set, where I add, instead of using the regular section, I used a pilot parallel section with 3.0 millimeters and just screwed it on here. I droppered the ink, and the ink that is in here is A Room of One's Own by Warangul. That's the title and the numbers I've written with this. And then I wrote the this or that options with this Mayfair Arkenstone. I don't really know what the model is. I also don't know the blank, who made it or where it came from. I think I need to reach out to Ben from Mayfair and ask. And I modded this. This has a Yovo threading here, and you actually unscrew the nib unit, fill the pen with ink, and then screw the nib unit back on. What I did is I removed the FA nib from a Pilot 742 and purchased a flexible nib factory housing to be able to accommodate the nib and feed, and then used that to write this. The ink that is in here is Tom Studio Cherry Bomb. It's not a good match for this pen. It actually matches this one much better, but as I will be answering down below, I do not match my pens and inks. And then I'm going to use this pen, which is a Sailor 1911 large in the North American exclusive Wicked Witch of the West with a broad nib, inked with Sailor Manyo Fuji to write my answers. Which could be just this or that, or I need to elaborate. And so let's start with the first one, flat tops or cigar shape. And I started with loving flat tops. Now I think the cigar shaped pens look more like traditional fountain pens, which is most likely true, but I have come around to cigar shaped pens. I actually, as I said, think they look just a tiny bit nicer than flat tops, but to be actually true, I really don't care. I don't care. Because I have not seen Ben of Mayfair Pens make a round cigar-shaped pen. I wanted this pen, whether it came with a rounded cigar-shaped finials or flat tops, doesn't matter. As long as the pen in general speaks to me, that's what I'm going with. The same goes for gold or silver trim. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less as long as it looks good. And I have to add a caveat here. Benu pens often have a combination of silver and gold. Sometimes the engraving is gold and the clip is silver. Sometimes there is, and I really don't care at all. As I said, as long as I'm interested in the pen, and that maybe I can add that right here. I think the most important two factors about pens for me is the writing experience of the nib and the comfort of holding the pen over a longer period of time. How comfortable is writing with this pen? There's several factors, but one of them is definitely the section width, but that's not the only one that plays into the comfort factor for me. I've noticed over a little bit of research and paying attention. But those are the things that I am looking for. And then if this pen that I want to experience is flat top, cigar shape, gold or silver trim, doesn't really matter to me. And sometimes I'm so cheap that I would say I'll take the cheapest option. So if the gold trim is more expensive than the silver trim, I might opt for the silver trim just because of the price. Posted or unposted? Mostly unposted. But some pens I have to post in order for them to be comfortable, balanced, long enough. And then I prefer push post than screw post. So the worst thing that can happen to me is a screw to post. Everything else I can totally deal with. Mostly unposted, but if I have to post, no screws. Cartridge converter or internal fillers. I prefer cartridge converter. And actually, it's not cartridge converter. That's not a thing. It's cartridge or converter. You can use both in the pen. Cartridge converter. But I'll take any filling mechanism if I want to have the pen. So I'm not excluding a pen just because it has a filling mechanism that I don't prefer. Like this is a eyedropper filling mechanism. There is no cartridge or converter that this pen uses. I still bought this. I knew what I was getting myself into, and I like it enough to be able to use it. And that is actually true for most mechanisms. There's actually no mechanism that I would rule out. I even love my Pilot Custom 823, which is a vacuum filler and which is a pain in the ass to clean. I had a Pilot Custom 743, same nib, but I still reach for this one more. And so I actually let go of that, even though it is the filling mechanism that I prefer. Bottled inks or samples in the beginning, before, started. Started feels good. Started with samples. Currently, I prefer bottles more. And And if you would like an explanation for this, I thought in the beginning that if I had samples, I could have a ton of different inks, a ton of different colors, but the more I tried, the more I used, I have found that I'm gravitating to very, very similar colors over and over again. And so I also felt like I couldn't use a sample when there was little left. So I'm currently enjoying the freedom of having a lot of ink that I can experiment and play with in colors and in brands where I enjoy the writing experience with the ink, if that makes sense. So the fear that I'm running out of ink because I'm inking this pen, there was a lot of pressure, or I gave myself a lot of pressure. This has to be the perfect pen and ink combination, because if it doesn't work out, I won't have any ink left. Now I can very generously fill any pen with the bottled ink that I have. And if it doesn't work out, well, you know what? I still have a bottle full of now 29.5 milliliters left, and there's no harm done. And that relieved a lot of pressure. And I also know, I get to know the inks better, so I know how to make perfect matches, if that makes sense. Subtle or flashy? I am a woman of many faces. I mean, if this isn't subtle enough for you, I don't really know. I do have black pens as well. I'm very drawn to single colored pens like this. And I would actually count this one into the realm of single colored pens too, but this one is not subtle. This one is very flashy. And this one is flashy, and this one is flashy. But I also, I mean, I don't know what you call subtle. For me, there is a lot of different, this one looks subtle. And then, you know, I have, this one is black and it's subtle, but I'm also very drawn to this. If I'm drawn to flashy, I'm drawn to extremely flashy, extremely loud, but I'm also drawn to just plain old black pens. It doesn't seem to me that there is a rhyme or reason to what I look at or what I like, which if I'm looking at this right now, I do see some tendencies. I love neon. There is also neon. I love sparkles, especially hollow glitter is something that I'm really drawn to. But I also do love me a just plain old single colored pen. This might be flashy, but it's just one color. And there's a lot of those in my collection as well. Like these three I would count as single color. This one is one, these two. But then I also do love me some glittery flashiness. So yeah, there is no boxing myself into a certain category with this one. Next is ink window or no ink window. Just like before. No, I couldn't care less. If it runs out, it runs out. I like it's coming later. I do like demonstrator pens. It's not that I don't like looking at ink, but I don't really use ink windows. If there is a cartridge converter, I can unscrew the barrel and check the level of the ink like that. And I am absolutely okay with running out of ink in the middle of a pen when there isn't an ink window. It's part of the fun, you know. Twist cap or snap cap. I think I prefer I prefer a twist cap, because I feel like I know it gives me a better indication of when a cap is actually closed. Feels more secure. And I did have, but that might just be the plastic being too brittle. I did have a snap cap crack on me because it snaps. I think it just was too old and then it started to crack. And that I don't know how plastic resin behaves over time. So I mean, that could happen to a twist cap as well. But I feel like you notice when this is done now, I'm good. I don't have to turn anymore. Gold nibs or steel nibs. I am admitting that I love most gold nibs. I'm very picky with steel nibs. Basic nib grinds or special grinds. I said it in a different video before. I'm still a plain old medium girl. I'm not mediocre, medium. I mean, this is a broad nib, but yeah. If I go and purchase a pen, new to me pen, my go-to grind is a medium nib, and there has to be a good reason for me to want to change that to something else. Now, I don't say no to special grinds, but I definitely have to admit that I'm struggling more with special grinds than with just plain old regular nibs. I still am looking for what I love. I thought it was the stubby grinds, like cursive italic, stubs, journaler, sig nibs. I thought that was where I want to go, but I have the, what are those called? Zumi kinds or Naginata Togi grinds, different interpretations of those. And I currently like those more. So we'll see where that journey takes me. I'm trying to be very slow in the grinds because I have definitely fallen out of love with pens because I didn't use the correct nib grind on those, and I don't want to do that again. Planner or journaler, I'm both, and I actually don't think that it has anything to do with my pen use. I love, it's more the paper. It's more the paper than the function of the paper that I'm using. This might surprise people. I have been able to use a lot of old Tomoe river paper. I fell in love with the first batch of Sanzen paper because it just had a smidge more feedback than the old Tomoe River paper, and I really liked that with that writing experience with my fountain pens. Now, I'm not sure if I still will love Sanzen when I run out of the 2024 batch moving forward, but as of right now, I really prefer the Sanzen, and I'm going to date it so that we know what I'm talking about. I prefer Sanzen 2024 paper. I hope it goes back to that quality of paper, because I will definitely be very happy. Soft or stiff gold nibs. Now, I'm not sure what is meant by that, because I don't, the only determination I would make or category that I would put any of the nibs that I own in is soft would be that FA nib where I can flex it so that it does some flex writing. That is a soft nib to me. This is not soft to me. It has feedback, but it doesn't like into the paper. Stiff, but it's also not stiff. So the only gold nib that I can think of that has been stiff in my experience was the Platinum 3776 nibs. And to answer your question, I have sold all of my Platinum 3776s because I didn't get along with them. And I think it has to do more with the fact that they weren't as wet writers as I had hoped they would be. But I have seen several people mention online that their 3776s are extremely wet. So it might be the stiff writing experience that was the thing that didn't appeal to me. However, I'm really struggling with calling the gold nibs that I own soft. So I love all the different writing experiences you get with gold nibs. No two are the same. Yeah, my Pelican M800 is also not stiff, but it's also not soft. Maybe I need the definition of soft gold nib to be able to answer that question. Next one, shade, sheen, or shimmer. I don't know, man. In my palette parallels, I love shimmer inks. I love light shading inks, but I actually prefer shading inks, but, and that's a really big one, they need to be legible. So there are some inks that shade so much that it's really hard to make them out as one writing, as one thing. And that is something that I have a hard time loving. Like when the lighter area of the shade is so light and the darker area is so dark that you're like, what am I even looking at? That I don't like. But this, for instance, works. This is borderline great. The shades it's legible. The light areas aren't too light. The dark areas aren't too light. But if that was just one bit less, it wouldn't be, I wouldn't like it anymore. Brand names or custom maker pens. So I really don't know how to answer this. I love them both equally. I love them both equally. And I love putting Japanese, so brand, pilot or sailor, on custom maker pens. I don't have that many yet, but that is an avenue that I would love to explore more because it is the perfect combination for me. Limited editions or standard editions, I am cheap. And I also don't like the FOMO. So it's the standard edition. And if gold trim is cheaper than silver trim, I'll take gold trim standard edition for the win. Limited editions. Create FOMO. Those I'd buy used. So this, I think, was a limited edition. I'm not sure if it's still available online somewhere. I think there's always so many pens made that you could probably find them at some retailer. You would be able to find it still, even if it was limited or special. This is a North American exclusive, Wicked Witch of the West, and I purchased it secondhand. I probably wouldn't have gone out of my way to be able to purchase this one. And to be honest, it's, for me, it's sometimes, it's like, what am I feeling like? I currently, my strategy for buying pens would be specific nib experiences. Like, I don't have a Homo sapiens Visconti gold nib. So that would be, I don't think it's a limited edition, but that would be a specific pen. But I also probably would go for the cheapest black pen that I can get with a gold nib that I prefer, so I can just yank it out of there and put it on a colorful custom pen. New or used pens, I have no preference. I'm currently at a point where I don't actively look out for pens. Talked about the Visconti Homo sapiens. I'm not currently actively looking to buy that pen. Well, if you have one in the dark age and in medium, and you haven't messed with the nib, I would totally be interested if you sold it to me at a good price. Like, I'm not going to say no. And if I see it secondhand, I'd probably be thinking about it more than if it was something else. Like, or if there would come up a custom 74 that someone wanted to get rid of. Not one of those special editions that cost me a ton of money, because what I plan to do is just rip it out and put it on a pen, on a custom pen. But if the standard edition pens come along for a good price, I wouldn't say no. I have no preference. I actually, from an ecological standpoint, I would even think I want to take a pen of somebody else who wants to sell it than to buy new. But I still have no preference. I like both. I have not had any bad experiences with either one of them yet. Like both. Avenues to acquire pens / nibs. Demonstrators or not, I love demonstrators, but they're not traitors, but they're not a, you know, factor in choosing. If, like, this is not a demonstrator pen, I bought it anyway. That's what I'm trying to say. And number 19, matchy matchy or don't care. I do not care. I think what I actually match is I match the nib and the ink and not color of pen and ink. But I do love, if I have to make a decision, then I sometimes base it on the color of the pen, because like, what criteria am I going to use? And what I love is I love complementary colors. Like in this purple pen, I would love to see an orange ink. Vintage or modern, I am all the way. But again, this is not an exclusion, or I'm not dissing vintage. I just haven't even branched out into the vintage pen field. I know nothing about them. And so if I were interested in a vintage pen, I would have to do research first before I felt confident to branch out. I am all the way modern, not saying I'd never Okay, those were the 20 pen preferences, this or that. I feel like I did okay. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to see your video, your take on this. Do you have any hot takes that are completely different than any of the other videos that you have seen? I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. If you don't have a YouTube channel, and if you do, link your video in the comment section down below. I'd love to watch it. Thank you so much for taking the time. I hope to see you again soon. Until then, bye.